Our story starts in a town. So boring. A duel is considered prime entertainment. One guy shows up on time, the other trips over his own feet. A real auspicious start to a showdown. Our hero, let's call him Albert, because he's about to have a really Albert-esque day, is less gunslinger and more sheep herder, nervously offering compensation for grazing violations. He gets 2 days to live or pay up. Later, Albert's lamenting to his girlfriend, Louise, about this impending death. She, however, has other problems. After a year of dating, she decides he's just not cutting it. Apparently, people are living into their 30s now, and she's got bigger fish to fry. Or maybe just better-looking fish. Ouch. Brutal honesty, 1882 style. Cut to the saloon. It's a lively place full of thirsty patrons and even thirstier morals. We meet Edward, a fellow with a surprisingly tolerant attitude towards his girlfriend's profession. She's, shall we say, entrepreneurial in her approach to affection. His chill demeanor is tested when his high-spirited girlfriend, Ruth, practically bounces into his arms, momentarily forgetting she has another appointment that evening. It seems even the Wild West had its scheduling conflicts. Back at Albert's farm, a sheep is inexplicably on the roof. It's the Wild West. Don't question it. Edward and Ruth arrive, offering sympathy and possibly some slightly inappropriate comfort. Albert shows off photos of his ex, lamenting the limitations of 19th century photography. Apparently, smiling wasn't in vogue. Heartbroken and needing a distraction, he drags his friends to the saloon. There, Albert delivers a hilariously morbid rant about the myriad ways to die in the Wild West. We're talking alcohol poisoning, criminals, aggressive prostitutes, hungry animals, diseases, accidents, indigenous peoples, presented with a troubling lack of sensitivity in classic McFarlane style, bad weather, and even the perils of using an outhouse. And the doctor? Forget about it. He even points out the pastor's surprisingly bloody history. The pièce de résistance? 3 miners eating fiery ribs until they can barely taste anything. Their digestive systems are in a state of utter collapse. One lets out a fatal fart, proving Albert's point spectacularly. To further drive home the point, he points to a decomposing corpse outside the saloon, a body that's been there for 3 days and has just been unceremoniously dragged away by wolves. The saloon patrons, unimpressed by Albert's existential dreadfest, toss him out the window. Ruth tries to patch him up, but Albert's stubborn pride wins. She suggests he talk to Louise. Drunk and desperate, Albert stumbles over to his ex's place. His drunken confession is met with a swift, unceremonious door slam. Looks like he's got a lot more than just a broken heart to worry about. Out in the unforgiving desert, a grizzled old prospector and his loyal canine companion, Plugger, are ambushed by a gang of bandits. A tense standoff ensues, ending with the old man getting shot dead for possessing a measly amount of gold. Classic Wild West efficiency. The bandit leader, Clinch, is less than understanding when his girlfriend objects to the unnecessary violence. He uses the respect your husband excuse, a timeless and terrifying classic. The gang splits up, with Clinch's girlfriend Anna adopting the old man's dog, Plugger. Meanwhile, Albert finally emerges from his self-imposed exile. It's 3 p.m. A run-in with Eddie at the outhouse leads to a surprisingly heartfelt conversation. Albert is wallowing in self-pity, but Eddie reveals a surprising fact. He and Ruth are saving themselves for marriage. Suddenly, Albert's problems don't seem so bad in comparison. Their newfound perspective is quickly shattered when they witness Louise, very much smooching her new boyfriend. But a sudden, gruesome ice-related workplace accident momentarily distracts them from relationship woes. Someone got a very cold, very untimely end. Church offers a brief respite from the carnage. The pastor gives a sermon about the ice-crushing incident. It wouldn't be a Wild West movie without one. He then introduces the new townsfolk, Louis and Anna. And yes, that Anna. Later, Louise and her new man, Foy, are shopping for a new dress. Albert unexpectedly bursts in, attempting to grow a beard, a hilariously desperate attempt at a new look. He accuses Foy of stealing Louise, but Foy points out that Albert's job as a sheep herder was never going to cut it. So, it's a battle of beards and broken hearts. Evening at the saloon, Eddie's romantic advances are thwarted by Ruth's unwavering faith. Albert, meanwhile, announces his plans to flee to San Francisco, a classic I'm outta here moment, but the peace is shattered when a barroom brawl erupts. Albert and Eddie hilariously fake fight while actual mayhem unfolds. Albert bravely, or maybe clumsily, saves Anna from the chaos. Anna and Albert connect amidst the chaos. They discuss their respective woes, Anna's farming ambitions and Albert's heartbreak. A rattlesnake adds a little extra spice to their first meeting. They decide to attend the fair together, a plan designed to make Louise green with envy. At the fair, Anna, a photography virgin, is excited to get her picture taken. A photographer's equipment spectacularly explodes, killing several people in a fiery blaze. Albert casually notes this is an annual occurrence. They encounter Louise and Foy. A tense standoff leads to a shooting gallery competition. Foy, a crack shot, hits targets depicting runaway slaves, a darkly comedic moment. Albert, on the other hand, is utterly hopeless. Anna, betting with impressive confidence, wins $1, a truly mind-boggling sum of money for the time. Foy, humiliated, accepts a duel challenge from Albert. Anna wisely suggests a postponement, giving Albert a week to prepare. Once they're gone, Albert confesses to Anna his utter lack of shooting skills. She agrees to teach him. It's going to be a very interesting week. Desert training montage. Anna tries to teach Albert to shoot, but he's a natural disaster with a firearm. After a week of near misses, and probably a few close calls, he's finally passable. Meanwhile, in jail, Lewis, ever resourceful, dispatches the sheriff in a surprisingly brutal yet efficient manner during dinner delivery. At the dance, Anna's fancy dress is entirely inappropriate for the Wild West. Albert's convinced he's a goner, but Anna assures him she has a plan. They're spotted by Foy and Louise. Foy orders a song. Everyone dances except Albert, who's unceremoniously booted from the dance floor. Anna cleverly distracts Foy and Louise with a whiskey drinking game, subtly slipping something into Foy's drink, perhaps a laxative. The possibilities are endless. She uses the opportunity to deliver a scathing appraisal of Louise before rejoining Albert. Back at the farm, they drink, talk, and Albert reveals Bridget the sheep's surprise for Anna, a photograph of Albert, smiling. Romance ensues, but their passionate moment is interrupted by a very unwelcome observer, Lewis, who witnessed their kiss. On his way home, Albert stumbles upon a truly bizarre sight, a time-traveling DeLorean and Emmett Brown, though the script doesn't explicitly call him that. Albert, understandably bewildered, moves on. Foy and Louise's romantic encounter is abruptly cut short by Foy's explosive digestive system. It seems even romance has its limits in the Wild West. Duel day. Anna's preparing for Albert's big moment when Clinch shows up, a very unwelcome guest. Meanwhile, the town gathers for the showdown. Foy arrives looking dreadful. He suffers a spectacularly undignified bowel-related incident in the middle of the street, rendering the duel pointless. Albert, having found a new love, forgoes the fight and declares his affections for Anna. It's a surprisingly mature, for a Seth MacFarlane movie, rejection of his former relationship. Later, Albert discovers Anna's missing. He informs Eddie and Ruth, only to be interrupted by Clinch, who's looking for the man who kissed his wife. Clinch, always efficient, shoots a random innocent bystander in his search for Anna's new love. He gives Albert until noon the next day to come forward. Anna is kidnapped. While held captive, Anna cleverly uses a rock to subdue Clinch after he threatens her beloved dog. She reveals that Albert is her lover, and that she's tired of having her decisions dictated by her husband. Albert is packing his bags when Anna bursts in, warning him of Clinch's impending arrival. A hasty explanation follows. Anna reveals her forced marriage at a young age and her genuine feelings for Albert. Clinch and his gang arrive, prompting a desperate escape for Anna through the back way. Anna warns Albert about Clinch's count-of-two shooting style. The chase is on. Albert cleverly hides among his sheep, then makes a daring escape on horseback, narrowly avoiding capture. Even a train. Clinch is surprisingly persistent, but Albert is resourceful. However, Albert's triumphant escape is short-lived. A well-placed rock ends his journey, leaving him unconscious in the desert. The Wild West isn't exactly known for its gentle hospitality. Ruth and Eddie finally consummate their relationship, only to be interrupted by Anna, who's fleeing from Clinch. Ruth's window peeking confirms Clinch's arrival. Anna hides, and Lewis and his sister unexpectedly burst in, begging for sanctuary. Anna, having escaped through the window, lands directly into Clinch's arms. Talk about bad luck. Meanwhile, Albert awakens to find himself tied to a stake, about to be burned by Native Americans. He uses his surprisingly fluent Native American language skills to convince them to spare him. He's offered a potent tribal potion, which he drinks in one gulp, accidentally consuming a dose intended for the entire tribe. Albert's hallucinogenic journey begins. His childhood memories are revealed. The lack of a tooth fairy, a fake Abraham Lincoln at his graduation, and a truly bizarre wild horse taming incident involving dwarves. He ends up in a magical meadow where Anna insults Louise, whose eyes are comically huge. He encounters singing, anthropomorphic sheep. A sky-falling door leads him to a vision of Anna in a wedding dress, but it's interrupted by a giant bird with Clinch's face. Albert defeats the bird, snapping back to reality. The Native American chief interprets Albert's hallucination. The black condor represents Albert's fear. The chief assures Albert that he possesses true courage and just needs to believe in himself. The Native American tribe bids farewell to Albert, offering their unique perspective on happiness, involving hallucinogenic potions. Clinch awaits Albert on the main road. Anna's still captive. The townsfolk watch secretly. Albert confronts Clinch, denies involvement with Anna for now, and challenges him to a duel. The showdown begins. Albert, remembering Clinch's two habit, shoots first on one, wounding him. Clinch retaliates, disarming Albert. Albert, believing his end is near, makes a final plea for Anna's release and plans to perform an Islamic funeral song before he dies. A delightfully bizarre moment. But then, Clinch keels over. Albert reveals he poisoned his bullet with rattlesnake venom, a clever plan born from his shooting lessons and his unlikely alliance with the Native Americans. Ruth dramatically announces Clinch's death, cutting short Albert's victory speech. Anna is freed and runs to Albert. They kiss passionately. Louise makes a surprisingly casual appearance, inviting Albert out, but he declines, focusing on his new relationship. Albert and Anna embrace on their farm, surrounded by their enormous flock of sheep. The film ends at the fair with a darkly comedic final scene, mirroring the earlier shooting gallery sequence. A man of color shoots the worker who uses runaway slaves as targets. A fittingly cynical ending. So we've had exploding ice, exploding photographers, explosive diarrhea, and that's just Tuesday in the Wild West. Seriously, what was up with that sheep on the roof? Thanks for sticking with me through all that craziness. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more ridiculously deadly movie recaps. Because let's be honest, life's too short to watch boring movies.